Hello and welcome to Never Heard It, the show where I review classic albums that I never got around to listening to. And this week I brought along a friend. He is part of the Long Beach collective Green and Gold, and his latest project, Iceology Volume 2, is available on Bandcamp. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Repeated Measures. What's up?
What's up? Thank you for the intro, and thanks for having me on your show. I've been really excited for this for months.
I'm really excited to talk about this album. We're actually talking about Coven's debut album, Witchcraft Destroys Minds and Reaps Souls. Sometimes it's shortened to just Witchcraft. So the first question that I want to ask you is, why is it that you've never heard this album?
I had never heard of it because it's I think it's a deep cut from the classic rock era. And I grew up listening to a lot of classic rock, like my dad and shit, like everyone else in the 90s, and started playing guitar and did the whole thing and just never came across it. And then once I did, and I realized the opening track, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but the fucking opening track, I had to listen to it. We'll get to what the opening track is later, but yeah, I had to listen to it when I saw that name.
When you messaged me and wanted to talk about this album, it was so weird because I only heard this album a year and a half ago. I was just on YouTube and I was just listening to the random songs, and this popped up. I was like, who is this? And I went and I listened to the whole album, and then I looked up and started reading about who they were and what they did. The bass player in the group, he's credited on the album as Oz Osbourne. I was like,
what?
How?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right,
the bass player for the band.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah. Huh?
And,
so they got the same
obviously,
name.
Yeah, and obviously the song that you're talking about, I'm assuming, is Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Black Sabbath, the fucking opening track. It's wait a minute. That's a crazy crossover, though. I didn't realize the bass player. I heard on one of the tracks, someone said something shout out Ozzy, basically. And I was like, what? Did they just say Ozzy? And I had to rewind it. And they did, but I didn't look into what they were saying. So that makes sense. They were shouting out their own bass player.
This is about a year before.
Before, yeah.
Yeah, the band started in '67.
Yeah, they've been around. They've been part of that era, but I think their stuff is just so left field for the time that they probably couldn't get any publication, no radio play. They probably struggled to even get shows, I would guess, just because of the intensity of it. Mad Fools were complaining that Led Zeppelin was Satanist, and it's far from it, but this is literally satanic music.
The lead singer, her name is Jinx Dawson. She was only 19 when this album came out. So I think she's from Indiana. She's from kind of a rich family, and she studied opera. And when she was 13, she studied piano and opera. She got a scholarship.
So it's all making sense.
So that's her background. Her whole family studied this. So she comes from a long line of people that studied the occult. You want to talk about the album? Any specific songs that kind of hit you?
Black Sabbath, the opening track. That's when I was listening to it, towards the end of the track, they start doing the halftone thing. It starts off with more kind of classic rocky, more standard. It's a little heavier, a little more distorted than usual, but it's still basically classic rock and still kind of psychedelic. But then they bring in these halftones. I think it's the bass actually on the bridge, and that's the first song that I would say was using halftones like that from anything I've heard. Not from Zeppelin or Jimmy or Rush or Cream or Joplin. I have none of them were doing it, and this is the first song I've heard do that. So for me, that one's a standout for sure. If you, it might not be truly the first one, but if you want to hear the first metal riff recorded, I'm pretty sure it's the first one. And then also on the same track, she lets out this really long wail. She's just for a long time, and it's crackling, and it's almost a scream, and I'm and I think that's the first metal wail,
the first caterwaul.
Yeah, you think about Van Halen and shit, and, Metallica.
I think I like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin too. Robert Plant was about that too. But
and just a few other things about background. Did you know that they created the horns? They're the first.
This one?
Yeah, this. That's the horn of Satan, but it's
right.
On their album cover, they're the first people to ever do she didn't invent it, obviously, because it came before,
right. but they made that the trend they made the aesthetic.
So they started that.
Yeah, and I noticed too they have like the upside down crosses and shit on the cover and the skull.
Yeah, nobody was doing that.
Right, nobody was. That's what stood out to me too when I saw the album cover. I was like, "Yo, what is this?" And I was surprised by the release year. You know, I thought it'd be some later shit, and then I saw it's 1969, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like what is this?" And so, yeah, this one definitely, for me, it meant a lot to find.
Were there any other songs that stuck out to you?
I think the last track is pretty crazy, but it's not really a song. But I think it's the one where it's like she's just talking.
Yes, the Satanic Mass. Oh, the Satanic Mass, or the end where she's talking about.
Yeah, the Mass one is insane too.
Yeah,
the literal...
but the one after it is the making of the album, or the quote unquote making of the album.
Producers making like edit the album because it was like too powerful and shit. So I'm like, are they serious? Like, I can't, at that point, I'm like, wait. And it seems like, much to what I'm saying, it's like a joke, you know? Like, all of it is a joke, and that's what they're really preaching is like, hey, to come to conclusions so quickly is a bad thing, and I feel like that last track kind of taps the fourth wall a little bit. You can't tell what's real at that point.
Yeah, they're talking about like they say they like cut their wrist so they could like dip their blood and sign the contract.
On the contract. Yeah, I'm like, there's no way they really did this, but it's gnarly to say you did.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was on the original album. It seemed like it was like they recorded it after or something like that. I don't know, because like when I look on like on websites and I just look at like the track listing like on vinyl, that last part, like the Satanic Mass is there, but like that part isn't on there. So I don't know.
Might be some digital bonus thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know. But yeah, that Satanic Mass is crazy because like
a better ending.
Yeah.
That way,
it's like
it doesn't
13 minutes long.
You like question how serious they are, because that one made me go like, wait a minute. But the end, if it ended at Satanic Mass, then you just end feeling so spooked and like so dark. Like that was a spooky track. I was listening to it and literally getting like the worst vibes of all time. Like, and I was trying to tell myself like, you know, like don't take it too seriously, because just much so everything we're saying, but. Yeah, that one's scary. That's a scary one. It's like, repeat after me, you know, the whole...
Yeah, it's weird. As far as I can tell, like, it's the first time that it ever been recorded, like, the Satanic Mass had ever been recorded and put out.
Wow.
And it's it's 13 minutes long, so it's like a third of the album.
Yeah, it lasts a long time. And it's spooky as fuck.
Yeah. So, is there anything about this album that you didn't like?
That Satanic Mass track was a heavy one. It definitely makes the jump from music to it's not even music anymore. I don't think there's any music on the song. It's just like delayed voices talking, and it's trippy as fuck. It's like still psychedelic, but it's like scary, and I think that's, you know, I like it and don't like it for that reason. Even just listening to a few clips right now, like gives you chills. Just the tone of the voice, but it's like scary, like almost like it's a movie. You can like, it's so vivid that you can picture what's happening. Like he says something about like now lay down on the altar, and you can like almost picture that. I felt like it's not them recording in the booth, you know. It felt like this is a recording. Like there's a video of this happening somewhere, but there's probably not. But like it's so realistic that it gives you that feeling like this really occurred. You know, this is not a recording. But no, nothing music wise though, nothing that I didn't like. It's fucking sick. It's really good psych rock, and it's pretty heavy for 1969. It's super heavy.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really struck me. Like, I can't imagine like a kid listening to this in 1969. I feel like their head would explode. It just seems crazy.
It's too crazy for the time. That's really the main point of it, you know. It's like heavier shit came out since then. It's not like that gnarly, but then just considering the time and the political scope at the time,
because this is right around the Manson murders.
Right. It's right at the end, the tail end of the whole like
Yeah.
hippie shit, and
Yeah, and
this.
like that kind of ruined their career because that album came out at the same time as the Manson murders, and then Esquire did like some type of write up on them. They tied them together, and then like this album just went out of print. They just
That's what I thought happened.
yeah
I'm like, how did they fall off? And I figured it
yeah
had to be because of the
yeah
whatever was going on politically. Like, there's no way they got exposure.
yeah. Like people heard this, they're like, nope. And they pulled the plug on them. And they released 2 more albums after this.
Oh, they did?
But they were like less occult centered.
Yeah.
So
Black Sabbath went fully that way, but they did it like, somehow they did it more tastefully somehow. Like, it had the same themes, but they did it. I mean, I don't know much about Ozzy and all them. I don't know how about it they really are, but to me, it's all aesthetic and like.
Yeah, it is. Masters of Reality, like I can't remember the name of the song, but there's a song where he's literally talking about God. Is this an album you think you'd go back to?
Yeah, I'm going to keep listening to it this week. It's just nice to find a new psych rock album too that's like so solid and well put together. And yeah, there's like very metal moments, but overall it reminds me of a lot of the other, you know, groovy shit from the time. It's recorded really well. The drums sound sick. Vocal sound fucking sick. Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything you want to promote before we head out?
Shoot, I mean, I got another Iceology volume coming out, so you can, you know, if you peeped 1 and 2, that's gonna come to its conclusion. Volume 3, maybe I don't know, maybe next month or something. I already got it recorded. I'm just like figuring out the artwork and track names and the aesthetic, you know. Speaking of all these metal aesthetics, yeah, I'm working on the Iceology stuff, and I'm working on this other one. It's called Pluto Ascendant, and that's gonna be like my next album, like full length.
So where can people find you on the internet?
Shoot, I'm Icy_Negus on Instagram and on Bandcamp, repeatedmeasures.bandcamp. And I got a website. It's xmu.sx if you want to get the true experience, the true, you know, exposure, the way that I feel makes the most sense. Yeah, xmu.sx. That's the spot to go.
All right, cool. All right, so people out there, have you heard Witchcraft? Are you still bumping it to this day? I'm going to keep talking about albums until we run out. Until then, we are 2 guys on the internet that don't know everything. Peace.